Hello, Internet. I am Jay Geis, the Golden Knight, and today I'm just going to talk about whatever comes on my mind, just completely off the cuff, if you will. I mean, don't have any cuffs, but that's beside the point. And I also kind of wanted to show you just how painful the grinding in MMOs can be, at least once upon a time if you go to the right places. Like, it could take hours and hours, days and weeks just to get really far into it. But when you're unemployable, you pretty much have nothing better to do. And that's definitely something I've noticed. It's like there's a disparity between people who are working, it feels like 2 or 3 full-time jobs lumped into one, and the unemployable who can't get work even to save their own lives. Honestly, it's not sustainable, so I'm just wondering how long it's going to take for all that to implode. As for me on the personal end, honestly, things get pretty lonely, and that's part of what I wanted to show. Not just with video game gameplay, but behind the scenes and behind the scenes as well. And because of that, it's part of why I thought I'd try this in the first place. I wanted to do something different, something new, see if this would catch any interest any more than, say, my comic book or my video game or other areas on social media. So, to be honest, I'm not expecting anything different. Like, the only people that are probably ever going to pay attention to this would be the web archiving robots, a clique of bullies that like making fun of me, and best case, maybe some from family or friends. Then again, speaking of those bullies, I heard through social media channels there was some kind of trial going on with the Chris Chandler. I don't know much about it. I don't know much about him, her, or it as a person. All I know is I anticipate that those same bullies are going to turn that event into a goddamn holiday. Honestly, I really don't want to know what it's like. So, trying to focus on things that actually matter, or I don't know if they matter, but things that hit more close to home. So what else have I been doing other than grinding an MMO for hours upon hours upon hours, as this video will demonstrate? Tell you the truth, a lot of sleeping. Anyone who's paid attention to the video game dev diaries I put would know that I've been having some dizziness and vertigo, and sometimes it would be so bad that it would keep me bedbound. So there's an antihistamine for that. It's an over-the-counter thing called meclizine. A tablet a day, or 2 if it's a really severe case, and at least it allows me to get out of bed. The obvious trade-off is that it does leave me feeling very tired. They're right in saying it makes you drowsy. And considering that without it, there'd be no hope of me getting out of bed, since it would put me on a Disney ride from hell if I so much as roll over. Like I said, that's a trade-off I'm willing to make. What this means is, given how low I'm getting a return on the effort for my video game, plus the low energy, plus reasons to be sad more in general, like the inescapable COVID, worrying about the earth going to burn itself alive and everything. Goodness knows what other problems. And just living in America, where kings are jesters and jesters live like kings. It's very sad across the board, to be honest. What all that means put together is I'm not really driven to do much of anything. And I mean, like I've said, I feel like I'm unemployable for it. No lack of trying, no lack of effort. I got my guitar over there. I wrote a novella for the very game that you see me playing here. In case you have no idea what specific title it is Old School RuneScape, or OSRS for short. That's an Oscar Sigma Romeo Sigma, if you really want to do the phonetic shorthand. So, what I liked about it is the simplicity. There's no hotkey piano you have to worry about. You just click and your character does the thing. You can even play one-handed if you find yourself to be particularly crippled like that. So that's kind of cool. But the one negative I have is the grind. And I'm going to be showing that off here. Like, you can see one of these laps takes 1 real minute of time. You can see at the bottom left there's a timestamp there, which keeps a nice little approximation of how long it is. So multiply that by, it says 39 up there. That's over half an hour of just the same tedium non-stop to finish the level up. And the level goes all the way up to 99, so even after this, there's 14 more to go. And you'll see that jump around to 400 whenever we get to that point. 400 of these, that's 400 minutes if you really wanted to approximate. Again, I'm eyeballing it here, so not precise numbers, but about 400 minutes. What is that? Over 6 hours of continuous monotony? That's almost a full-time day of work of just doing these laps over and over and over and over again. So, that gets really mind-numbing. And in that time, I thought, you know, what if, to make it less mind-numbing, how about I do something else and bounce back and forth between the grind here and that other pastime? That's why I made it about a novella that was attempting to expand upon this game. And I sent that off about a day or two ago over the weekend, and I understand how these companies are, where I almost feel invisible at times. Nobody really acknowledges whenever I send stuff out most of the time. Even when it does, it almost feels like a dream. Wake up the next day and no follow-through. So, I don't expect to go anywhere. What I mean by novella is 15,000 words. Excuse me. That is a quantity of 15,000. It's actually about 300 some more if you count like the preface at the beginning and those little notes. But by and large, what the website said, the company that owns this, they said there's some policy about what they want for fan stuff. And they basically said that if you have something that's like at or above that 15,000, run it by us to see if we'll let you distribute this on social media. So then, the way my brain interpreted that, it was like, oh, so would that mean I could compel you to notice me if I actually hit that kind of goal? I mean, considering I think of myself as a natural writer, I was like, alright, challenge accepted, you're on. And what that means is, I went to work banging it out over 2 days. Yeah, 2 days to make the first draft of a whole novella. Not bad. Not bad. So, that's all impending. Some of my other favorite games include Call to Arms, which is this modern-ish shooter. And unlike the Call of Duty games, you don't really have to worry about people jumping up from behind and being in claustrophobic tight quarters. With the way the spawns are arranged and there's a middle ground, it kind of reminds me of the old Battlefront 2 that was on the old Xbox. It's where the spawn points are clearly defined, there's a sufficient space between the spawn points, so you always have a general idea of which direction the enemy's coming from. You never have to worry about them always coming from behind, so you're not always looking up, back, left, and right. You can kind of focus, and I like that. And not only that, but the modern thing is, what's cool about it is how consistently accurate it is against the bots. Player versus player is a whole nother story. I've done that once, and only won by a hair. It was hell every second of the way. So, I've made a couple videos on YouTube already of why I hate player versus player, abbreviated to PvP. Peter Victor Peter. So, you can look at that if you want, if it isn't unlisted. You can also see some of the drawing stuff I've done. when some of it is behind the scenes on like how I make the Hero Team theme song. And the Hero Team theme song, as rough as it is, I'm not going to be under any delusion, it's a masterpiece. The backgrounds are basically there, it's real choppy, but honestly, it took 1 week of me by myself busting my butt on a $0 budget with Adobe Illustrator that was not intended for animation. And what ended up the result of that production, if you can call it that, is the most viewed video on my channel and the most disliked video. Like, the only person that liked it would be me and maybe someone from my family or friends, and it's got 8 dislikes. Yeah. 2 likes, 8 dislikes, 100-some views. Youch. Yeah, that'll teach me to put effort into something. That'll teach me to try and create. So, why am I rambling like this? Like I said, I've got nothing better to do while I'm unemployable. And there's no lack of trying. Putting out my resume, a couple feelers, I'm asking everyone I know if they can help me. We all know how that ends. You heard that silence? Yeah. That. That is how it ends. Exactly like that. Whether that's my inbox, social media channels, whether that's my video game, whether that's this video right here that I'm gonna put out. God, it's lonely. It's sad. And there's a disparity between people who are overwhelmingly busy and people that have nothing better to do than grind till they die of old age. So, very sad world we live in. And there is a Wikipedia page called The Great Resignation, and if you want my point of view, it's because, as I've said, the current real-world circumstances are rather unsustainable. It's unsustainable. So, how much longer until it's all going to implode? Or does The Great Resignation indicate that the circumstance is already starting to implode? And maybe this is just legend or something, but there have been stories about these signs that say, please be patient with the people who work here, something like that. Like, please be patient, like no one wants to work here anymore. Forget the exact wording off the top of my head, but something about that, nobody wants to work anymore, so please be patient with the few who did decide to show up. Oh yeah, that's right. We are short-staffed. Please be patient with those who did show up. No one wants to work anymore. That's the exact wording that I remember from one of the various signs that all say roughly the same thing. That people aren't working. Even when they take the job, they're offered a job through some some miracle, and yet those people don't show up. I imagine an employer kind of feels like you got stood up on a date. You ask someone on a date, you show up, and then everything's all nice and laid out with a pretty clean white tablecloth, couple candles, your free obligatory bread basket there, and your date doesn't show up at all. Doesn't call, doesn't text, doesn't email, doesn't come 30 minutes later, hey, sorry I'm late, but I had a car crash. Nothing. Just that silence. I'm just surprised that even employers are feeling that. Well, maybe not the big names like your Staples or your Disney or your Netflix, your Cartoon Network. You know, the big mainstream names. They'll be fine, trust me. But it's everyone else. And part of that, I think, is the triggering is the coronavirus. COVID-19. And there is lore to COVID in the Hero Team timeline that I'm writing. That alternate timeline where dreams come true. Where in that timeline, COVID would have just started around now. It would probably still be in China. It hasn't yet taken on Trump. It hasn't yet come to America. The world hasn't yet quite bent the knee to the little germ. But trust me, it's going to happen in the Hero Team timeline. It just happens later than the real world timeline. But I really think that people being told, ordered to stay home, and people realizing, this is nice. I got a comfy bed, I got air conditioning, I got my mobile device that I can look up all the information of the human race all at my fingertips. There's plenty of things to do with my time, so why am I busting my ass again? Remind me why I have to go out when, well, look around. It's nice and comfy here. Why leave if I have a choice? And that's kind of where the concept of wage slavery comes from. People are like, we don't have a choice. We have to work to pay bills, and to pay bills to keep the modern standards of living maintained. So, but that sucks because it's unsustainable because, well, the circumstances and recent events being what I think is reaching a breaking point. But then again, in my personal opinion, I can't speak for God necessarily, but the way I interpret it from my figurative fear bunker is that COVID demands us to stay home. COVID wants us to stop pushing so hard. COVID wants us to take it easier. To not do all this running around and not traveling. Wants us to stay home and make things more sustainable. That's what COVID wants. And those who disobey, like the culture of the United States of America, will be punished horrifically. And if you look at the case numbers and even the death numbers, if you're stubborn enough to ignore the case numbers, then, yeah, America's been punished pretty disastrously. But because you can't hold us at gunpoint, people are going to be like, we have to go out. It's for my sanity. And to some extroverted personality types, I can kind of see where you're coming from. To the conservative mindsets with the general resistance to change that's become mainstream, I can see where you're coming from. Don't think I don't sympathize with your suffering. Problem is, attempting to alleviate that and pretending everything's normal? Wrong answer. COVID's going to punish you and everyone you love and everyone you so much as meet. And in fact, if you look at it, the vaccines, the masks, the HEPA filter like I have in my room, they help, but none of that, not even all of it put together, is going to single-handedly make the COVID go away, much less forever. There's only one thing that can do that. Quarantine. Absolute quarantine. Physical quarantine. Away from everybody. And not this social distancing garbage. That's a farce of what I'm talking about. A mere parody of not even being under the same roof. Like, you should go full hermit mode if it were realistic. Return to monkey, as the trend would say. Maybe not that absolutely, unless you really are a badass. And if you are, please teach me. I want your wilderness secrets so I can go that way and live in the middle of nowhere and never have to worry about COVID again. But that comes with some obvious trade-offs. No electricity, no air conditioning, no internet. And you'd be lucky to find your own clean water or synthesize it if you have the right tricks and tools to take dirty water and make it clean. So, yeah, trade-offs. I personally believe in trade-offs. For every positive, there's a negative. And that's part of what the quarantine trade-offs are. Nothing gets done when you're in quarantine. You don't really produce anything, necessarily, unless you count digital, but as I'm demonstrating here, the digital doesn't necessarily have any value. So, you can say I'm not producing anything. So, stay at home, you're not going out, you're not getting too many experiences, you're not seeing new people, not physically. Excuse me. Got some hiccups and some coughs. It's mostly just water. But anyway. So, there's only so much you can do from home. Personally, I would be happy if I could work from home. Writing, drawing, voicing, recording my stuff, recording my guitar, all these things I can do from home. My computer is an all-in-one machine, a magic box, and I love that thing. I work, play, and live there. But I understand, not everyone's a nerd like me. Not everyone's a computer whiz who has all sorts of keyboard magic shortcuts up in their memory. So, not everyone's like that. So not everyone can be comfy working from home. But me, I would be. As long as the demands were not unrealistic. Like, going to 8 different sites in the field of downtown DC in one day. Like, the sort of job that would take a full hour just to do if you were at it assembly line style. Never mind the logistics of driving, parking, the meet and greet, paperwork, tidying up. Or Amazon. Yeah, I was there at Amazon. I was on the march as a packer. It was a few Novembers back. I was around on the Thanksgiving time. So mandatory overtime isn't applicable for your first 2 weeks. But after that, they want you doing 60 a week. So if you've got the fitness of an Army Ranger and nothing better to do, by all means, go for it. But anyone who knows me personally knows that athletics is not one of my gifts. I have many gifts, but athletics is not one of them. So, yeah, I can imagine Amazon didn't last long. But I was there. I got to see what it was like. 12 hours back to back to back for 3 days a week. And at one of those Wednesdays, I was like, with how stressful this is, I'm going to need a 4-day weekend. So, not sustainable, Amazon. Not sustainable. Not everyone's an Army Ranger. Well, DARPA sure didn't return my emails, because if they had a way to enhance me to that level, sign me up. Oh, and NSA, CIA, if any of you spooks are listening to this, please give me a job. I looked at your websites on USA Jobs, and your field agent stuff, you want 2 years of full-time experience. Yeah, I am not qualified for that. All my work experience has been so scrappy. I've got plenty of part-time experience, cleaning a gun range, or if you count it, making a video game as a hobby. 1 year part-time experience as a hobbyist game developer, putting all kinds of skills together. You can look it up, The Way of the Badass, on Steam, early access. Some of my videos on YouTube give a little demonstration of what I've been implementing there. So, I have done work, god damn it. I just wish it mattered. But what am I supposed to do? Just keep doing what I'm doing and hope some miracle happens? I mean, yeah, miracles do happen, but it's a literal 1 in a million, so don't count on it. And I don't know who else is going to listen to this. I was actually thinking about some other channels out there that talk about their RPG stories and do like cute little cartoons around it, and I was thinking maybe I should do something like that. Even had a couple ideas in my head talking about Jamie Forerunner, where she came from, or Holly Cartman, where she was in the D&D universe, casting Lightning Bolt and trying to get Adventures League. But in an out-of-character context, Adventures League isn't that fun. Like, there's a very specific way you need to go about things, and my character did not have the ways to go about it, so all I could do was sit there, hands on my lap, and just, I got nothing. So you want me to convince this guy to show me something, but all I have up my toolbox is a firebolt and light. And cure mild wounds. Whatever the exact spell was. So it's like, not real helpful. All I know is I did make the most messed up backstory I could ever devise for poor Holly Cartman. I was like, that's Holly Z commenting out. And Holly, shut up. No, you shut up. If any of you have left by now because you cringe at my attempt at doing a voice, I don't blame you. But yeah. Why can't I do a voice? Scarlet, go back to bed. I'm talking. Come on. Seriously, I wanted to ramble. Can I ramble too? Aww, isn't she cute? Hi, people! So, I really like having the sentient plush dolls going on adventures. And that's part of what I wanted to do with the drawing style. Unfortunately, of the few people who actually gave me enough time to leave a review on the game, they all thought the drawing sucked and the characters look about as attractive as NFT apes. NFT apes. That's not the exact word choice, but that's the impression I got. So, come on. I wanted sentient plush dolls going on adventures. Whoa, so to tell me that I utterly failed that goal, just another reason to show why I'm so disheartened. Given this my all, and I come back more weathered for it. More sad and cynical in the end. Which reminds me of this one cartoon. It's a cult classic from some decades ago. It's called The Critic, starring this character named Jay Sherman. You'll know it's the right show because half of the opening song is just establishing shots saying, hey, this takes place in New York City. So you'll know it's that show. But what really makes it special is just how sad and cynical it all is. And given everything I've been through, that really made it hit home for me. That really made it hit home. Because everything I'm going through is making me sad and cynical. So much that if I were fatter and I were richer, I would probably be a lot like Jay Sherman myself. Just reviewing stuff for my career, and yet he gets outcompeted by a TV channel showing laundry. Yeah, that's how I feel. And I'm like, people watch this? They don't just watch it, they give it money. People giving money to the stupidest horse manure, and here I am, genuinely putting my heart and my enthusiasm into what I make. For what? To get beaten by dumb internet trends? Honestly, what am I supposed to do? If you say what I'm already doing, then God won't help me, or else it would have already happened. So, what about you? You gonna want to crawl into a corner and cry? You thinking about throwing a firearm or something? I don't know. But I just know that if you're really sad, so am I. And if you're somehow making ends meet, you have a wife and kids, you have a roof over your head and no financial worries, cool. You're probably a boomer. Or, what is it, Gen X? You know, the one that comes before millennial. But if you're like a millennial, or a zoomer, or a doomer, or whatever it is, then I'm honestly thinking God won't help you. At least, not if my path is anything like to say about it. Like, yeah, I get it. People are dealt different hands in life. Some people make it big, some don't. Like Undertale. Christ. That is an idea I want to kick in the balls. How do you kill an idea? Because Scarlet is trying to do that, and I don't think she's getting much traction. She would in that fictional timeline, but... And again, in that alternate timeline where dreams come true, I would be a major now. I'd be a World War III veteran. Civil War II veteran, actually, if you arguably were around that time where we're getting around the end of Civil War II and into World Peace I. The peace to end all peace would be coming up. And the real nastiness happens in 2023, the year of crisis. That was a time of implosion and a mass suicide. But that's the problem with the direction our human species is going. We're trying to save every single element of our bloodline, including the most deleterious traits, the most deleterious thoughts. And what you get from that? You get COVID. You get the Great Resignation. You get a culture where kings are jesters and jesters live like kings. So, this is what happens when Darwinism is not allowed to take its natural selection course. At least, that's my interpretation. That's my opinion. Maybe you disagree. Go ahead to tell me just how stupid you think I am, and what kind of fate worse than death you'd like to inflict upon me. Sure. I don't really care anymore. Yeah, the censorship hurt my soul, but this is YouTube we're talking about. I mean, not quite as evil as Amazon, still better than school. But honestly, I'm trying to be nice here. Really, I am. And honestly, I hate it. I absolutely hate it with every power of my soul. I hate it. I hate it, I hate it, I hate it. And yet, there's a time and place for intentionally offensive. That place is called my indie game. So, well, that's kind of why I'm having a slightly easier time keeping it under control-ish. It's because there's a time and place for it. You can't completely purge that part of my hardwired personality. It's in my nature. It's in my blood. I'm a fighter. And a personality test I took says I'm a debater. So, all the themes say not for sensitive audiences. So, if you're the type that gets your feelings hurt over anything and everything, why are you here? You are not my target audience. Go away before I give you some bad ideas. Go away. Trust me, it's for your own good. Go away. Because I'm not going to make you happy. I'm not going to give you the toxic positivity you want to hear. Go away. Now that I chased away that goofiness, who else is left other than the robots that are going to take over all the jobs ever one day? Yeah, the video humans need not apply. Look it up. Was it CP Gray, something like that? Really cute character. But what's important is that is half a decade old or so. That's several years old. And we are only accelerating towards it. Juxtaposed by all the humans who keep talking about capitalism versus communism. What about socialism? You guys can all dig yourselves into a ditch and throw yourselves into it, because honestly, all of that discussion is so outdated, it's counterproductive to even continue that argument. Capitalism sucks because of what we're seeing now with things imploding. Communism sucks because it doesn't account for people being different. And socialism has a bit too much overlap with communism that I can't really tell the difference at a glance. We need an autoism. A society that understands robots doing all the work, so there's nothing left for humans to do except get comfortable and play video games. Or at least that's the rough bullet point takeaway from it. I don't think everybody is going to be playing video games, but you get my point. People are going to be like me. I'm just ahead of the curve. But that's something that the mainstream consensus finds unfathomable. So much so they aren't even going to acknowledge it. Like, I might as well be invisible. And that frustrates me. Because I see the direction this is all going. Robots are already starting to encroach upon jobs. Some of the jobs are already taken over by the robots. Like, look at CVS with their robot telephone systems and the robot cashiers. Instead of every cash register having a human, now it's just one human looking over a bunch of cash registers. I'm not complaining. I'm just saying, people, prepare for this. This is the future. Prepare for this. And the people, the common peasants, find it unfathomable. Just unfathomable, inconceivable, absurd that we're going to get this overwhelming number of humans be not unemployed, but unemployable. Unemployable. They can't get work to save their lives, so they're left with nothing better to do than complain on Twitter or YouTube, or make cringe-inducing drawings of demons on DeviantArt, or whatever other furry goofiness they have in store. Look, I don't care about your demons and your furries and your homo queers. I'm not the target audience for any of that, so get it out of my face. That's all I need to say about it. You don't need to shove that into every franchise under the sun. You don't need to make trans rights inescapable. Just shut up about it. I take a genuinely neutral stance, I'm annoyed that it's so inescapable. Especially June, which happens to be where my birthday is. So, that's just salt in the wound. Seriously, you goofs, just shut up about it. I want to think about other things, like the Doom games, or whatever, Battlegroup VR, or any other number of video games I like. Things that make you go boom. Like Terra Invicta, which did the very cruel thing of putting out a demo of this super awesome game that got me addicted to it, and then there's no specified release date for that game. That's the sort of thing I want to do with my game. The difference is they've got all the clout of people that have great brand recognition from working on a famous mod to a famous XCOM game. And what do I have? A couple of indie stuff that nobody's heard about, and nobody can even be bothered to look up, no matter how hard I try. What am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do? So what else is going on in the world other than people getting sick or people getting cooked or more hobos? Any good news? I know we're in summer vacation, so school should be out for now. And school is the most evil torture ever devised by the human mind. I wrote a whole essay about it. I thought about making a video on that, similar to this one, but less rambling, less unabridged. And the short of it is, the first sentence, the one that set the tone, the road to hell is paved by good intentions. Yeah, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. That's school for you. The road to hell is paved with good intentions. Like, everyone says, oh, the school shootings, this is a problem. Yeah, it is a problem. And they're like, we need to take away the guns so there won't be shooting. No. I get where you're coming from, but that's the wrong way to tackle it. You're probably acknowledging there's a problem, but you're not addressing the actual cause of the problem. The cause of the problem is not guns. The cause of the problem is school. The very idea of school needs to die forever. And it's going to take more than physically dismantling every brick and mortar establishment. Because Zoom happened, COVID taught us that society will take it online if they can't take it in person. And goddamn every single soul who decided that school had to be that inescapable. Goddamn every last one of their souls. May you experience a fate worse than death. With that out of the way, what I'm talking about is exactly that. It's so goddamn inescapable. School is about as mind-numbing as this grind I'm doing right now, only it's much more inescapable. You could complete this whole grind 100% completion in probably a year or two if you do it full time like I might. So, that is enough just for one grade level of school. Your entire childhood is robbed just for the fact that you're young. I hate school. This most evil torture ever devised by the human mind. It makes waterboarding look like a water park. Yeah, and I'd rather get a root canal. I could say that with a straight face, having actually gone through one. I'd rather have the vertigo without meclizine, if that's what it takes to keep me out of school. And not because of the school shooters, but because school itself is the most evil torture ever devised by the human mind. It's that dull, that mind-numbing, that stressful, that inescapable, that going down in a blaze of glory is preferable to the 13 to 20 years of eternal slog that is school. School needs to die forever. So, because you need... level up. It's been 45 some minutes already. 35. Yeah, it's been 40 some minutes already. Anyway, what do you replace school with? Because the only ideal way to kill an idea is to replace it with a better idea. So, what do we replace school with? YouTube! Yeah! Seriously! Curse Cassette, CVG Gray, Sabaton. You look up various other videos, all the different review channels. There's even a couple channels talking about hacker stuff. There's all sorts of cool stuff just for free on YouTube. No, you don't need your Audacity, you don't need your Bookworm, you don't need whatever goddamn ads that YouTube's promoting. You just need YouTube itself to be the educational material. They do things that are more entertaining, more bite-sized, and less inescapable. As long as you don't make it legally required that every kid ever has to sit through all these videos, you're golden, YouTube. You're golden. The one thing you're doing good, I hate your censorship. I hate that you can't talk about certain things or show certain images. I hate that you're taking down content. I hate you for, well, partially demonetizing, but that's a gray area because the only people who get demonetized are the goofball mainstream souls who really turn it into a job when they shouldn't. So, that's a gray area. But yeah, there's a lot to hate about YouTube, but the one thing to not hate is the quality of education it can provide. I mean, I saw a video saying that YouTube is basically becoming TV. Well, honestly, I don't think it'd be that bad if YouTube became PBS Kids. Not entirely, though. Like, don't make it just that. I want it to be more comprehensive. More everything and everyone. The OG YouTube from 2007 had a reason. They say broadcast yourself. And that's exactly what I'm doing now. I'm broadcasting myself. And that's part of why I wanted to make my video game. In defiance of censorship. In defiance of this political correctness sap of, oh no, you can't discriminate, you can't say mean things about minorities. Fuck! Just shut up. You go to hell before you die. Like that Mario PSA. You go to hell before you die. And honestly, not just the PSA, but that reminded me of something. Another scrap video project. There's this hilarious song called Super Hyphy. And the guy in it does this ooh ah ooh ah. I love that ooh ah ooh ah. makes me sound like an ape, like a chimpanzee. Ooh, ah, ooh, ah. And the best part is, I'm not even making that up. I'm not even making fun of it. It does. It actually sounds like that. It does that. And I was going to make some video about splicing that with a different video game called Ancestors: The Humankind Odyssey. And that game is all about playing as an ape. It's like, the gameplay is a bit Assassin's Creed-ish, where the ape monkey is sniffing out the different parts of nature and finding other apes to bring back. And it's very collectathon-ish, kind of like a Ubisoft game, but the main selling point is it's apes and monkeys. So put to these and you get the idea. It would have been the Hyphy Odyssey is apes and monkeys. The Hyphy Odyssey. And I was gonna have this book ending it with me drinking purple Powerade with an ibuprofen tablet, with the guy in the music video saying, "Me and my homies pop purple pills and went hyphy at the sideshow." And at all with this super splice and cut of going to Africa a million years ago, being an ape, doing ape adventures with this super crazy remix of that song with all these ape monkeys always. And then at the end of it is that Mario guy said, "Don't do drugs, kids, or else you go to hell before you die." Yeah, that's half true. Because if you do drugs, you take a Hyphy Odyssey into ape world 1 million years BC, and then you go to hell before you die. Consider that one of the many binned ideas. I have plenty of binned ideas like that never see the light of day, so another good thing about this is I can tell you random internet people, whether that's my parents or the bullies or the robots, all 20 of you can listen to see all these other binned ideas that I just couldn't get around to making, because there's only so much you can do as one person by yourself on a $0 budget and a part-time schedule. There's only so much you can do. And so that's why I've got no shortage of ideas, only shortage of manpower. And another idea is coronavirus cart. Because in the lore of Hero Team and Short Buzz, the COVID is in fact a character. And if you actually even paying attention to The Way of the Badass, you will know it says squishy, 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 squishy. And I was going to do a parody of a kart racer with that. It would be Coronavirus Kart, which has the 8 different viruses as kart races, with COVID going squishy, squishy, and the older one, SARS, going squishy, squishy, squishy. And my favorite is rabies. Rabies! It's like... The way you do the voice for the rabies character is, imagine you're choking on your own saliva, but you're physically incapable of swallowing. I can't really do it that well now because my whole mouth is dry from almost an hour of rambling non-stop and counting. We'll see how long it goes, just because if you really got nothing better to do and you're interested in seeing all my brain spilled out, well then, I guess that's the only reason you'll sit through all the cringe-inducing material I'm throwing out at you. So, yeah, coronavirus cart. That's a thing I wanted to do, but never got around to it. Coronavirus. With these 8 little carts racing. There's gonna be a bunch of different courses, and the one favorite of mine was the Donald Trump's rally. Like the pun in there, a rally, like a race course rally, and how Donald Trump hosts his rallies for his political campaigns. And it's gonna be like in the big billboard in the audience stands at like the starting line. It's just gonna have clips of Donald Trump's rallies playing in the background, with him being with his various lines like USA, USA, and make America great again. And whatever else he's known for saying. And with fire and fury, like the world has never known. That's one of my personal favorite quotes of Donald Trump. Fire and fury, like the world has never known. Or has never seen before. That is just badass. So, I can see where Trump has supporters. He is kind of badass, at least with the rhetoric he's using. But in the alternate timeline of Hero Team, where dreams come true, Donald Trump is unquestionably a badass. He fought in the Battle of DC on June 9, 2018. He fought throughout World War III, and there was a documentary war movie called Commander-in-Chief in that universe. And some of you might have seen this if, 1, you were paying attention to all the dev diaries, and 2, you have the power of translating the archaic runes of cursive. Because it's mentioned in Scarlet's little diary codex that it's for Violet's gun, the 50 cal BMG that she shoots, Violet's gun. And in there, Scarlet wrote in cursive, as made famous by the war movie Commander-in-Chief. The lore of that is, it's about Donald Trump fighting World War III, being an awesome badass. So in that alternate timeline, where dreams come true, Donald Trump is a badass, unquestionably. In the real world timeline, it's more debatable. Like, seriously? Suggesting bleach to be used to get rid of COVID? I mean, I actually made that something similar with soap and using soap. Like, where, not me, I don't mean me, let me finish. I mean, Scarlet, in Short Bus, there was one of the Short Bus stories I wrote where Scarlet had that quote. She asked that question, something very similar. No, I would never suggest using soap or bleach, but the point I'm getting at is some time ago, I wrote this thing about why I'm going to show you 2 quotes. One of them is from a 5-year-old special ed cartoon character. The other is from the President of the United States. And I want you to figure out which one is which. And the point is, yeah, they both kind of had the similar idea. The details are a bit different, but yeah. Scarlet, the same suggested as Donald Trump. Now, Scarlet is a bit more forgivable because even though she's super smart, she is a 5-year-old girl. So you can forgive her for not knowing better. That's ignorance, not stupidity. She is smart, she's a sadist, she's the princess of badass, heir to the throne. So, yeah, she makes mistakes like that too. She's not perfect. But she is intended to be this sentient plush doll. Absolutely adorable. And I actually did voicing that. Meow! Meow! Yeah, that's all my voice. And that's Scarlet Killino. Does this look like the face of hate to you? I do all the voices. And even the I will drink from the skull. Yeah, that's my voice. See, I told you I could do voicing from home. If your brains aren't bleeding out your mouth by now, I could, in theory, do voice work from home, right here, like I'm doing right now, if you want to use this video as a proof of concept. But honestly, who's gonna sit through an hour of rambling just for a voice acting demo reel? Honestly. much less do so and be like, hey, I know a guy that could use this goofy waste of life and have him do voices and we'll even pay you for it. Who in the world would honestly do that? Hey guys, if you know someone, send them my way. If not, just keep being silent, just like this. Okay, it's only half silent. Because there's the sound effects of the video game and me fidgeting with a pen. I may sometimes tap the microphone, which might sound like this. If you hear that, that's just me fidgeting with the pen and it hits the microphone. So, if that snaps you out of whatever ASMR trance you're going to, sorry not sorry. I can't help my hyperactive energy. It's just in my blood. So either live with it or don't. And most likely you're not even here, so why do I care about what you're going through? Other than that, what else has gone on? I'm not going to talk too much about the rest of my family because I respect their privacy. So, if you're going to pick on someone, pick on me. Leave them out of it. Pick on me. I'm the clown you want. Although, that's the most depressing thing of all. I just want to do something cool. All I want out of life is to kick ass and make love. And I've got nobody to love. And instead, I've got bullies snickering at how stupid I look. Yeah, that'll teach me to make something. That'll teach me to put effort into things. Yeah, that'll teach me. So why do I still keep doing this? I'm hardwired and capable of stopping. I'm gonna die fighting. It's in my blood. That's the thing most people aren't aware about. You can't change someone's nature. To do that, you have to rewrite their brain or their genetic code or do some kind of organ surgery transplant. And most of us don't really have the means to do that. And definitely not the willingness. So you can't rewrite your hardwired personality. I'm always going to be a fighter at heart. I'm always going to be mean-spirited. There's nothing that can be done about that. Like, I could pretend to act differently until I gag on how icky sweet all this sap is and go back to playing doom metal just to wash the taste out. So, you can't change people's nature like that. And frankly, I think that's why you can't convince people when they're wrong. They just block you. And then they forget about you because they washed the thought out of their heads. Because it defies the echo chamber. Doesn't matter which controversial subject you talk about. Gun rights, trans rights, trainer rights. It doesn't really matter. As if you so much as disagree, you're getting blocked and those idiots are never thinking about you again because you question the echo chamber. How dare you disagree with me? I shall banish you from my territory. Yeah, and I hate you too. Go choke on your Gatorade or whatever. To think, I thought about doing these as like episodic 15-minute segments called the 15-minute hate. Another Orwellian reference about how people get 15 minutes to air their grievances. Well, I've got a lot of grievances over the course of the past decade or so. So I'm getting it all out here and now as one big bulk because I know people like to binge content or put it on in the background, podcast style, while they're doing their chores to listen to other people's points of view. And if you are listening with this, if you do disagree, but you still appreciate me voicing it anyway, hey, you're a lot better than 90% of the scumbags on the internet. You're better than most of the peasants out there. Even if we do disagree, you're still better than most of them. Like, there's no reason we can't show human decency just because we disagree about hot-button topics. Particularly because there's no factual truth about what's the most correct, most effective way to proceed. I'm talking about opinions here, not facts. Remember, these are all opinions, not facts. And what else have I done? Starship Troopers, the book. I tried getting through most of that in audio format, but it's hard going through an audio book, at least for me. Maybe it's the same thing like why I don't like school and all that, because the lectures and the books, they just do something that turn my brain off, and yet there are people who like that sort of thing. Me, I prefer to be doing. It's weird, like a double standard where I'm perfectly good at writing, but reading turns my brain off. I don't get it. It's like me creating something works a different side of the brain from me consuming something. And I noticed that a lot in real experience where talking and writing work two different parts of my brain. The writing, you get all the excitement and enthusiasm, but you also get all the awkwardness. The talking. The writing, on the other hand, I feel a lot more composed. I feel like I have all the answers off the top of my head. I really think on things. And the writing shows that it's all thought out. I get to take a whole hour or two to really digest and craft a thorough retort. And do some very powerful reposting in the process. Talking, I don't get that. It's all improv. All of it. Even more so than the RPGs I've run. Now, I don't know what you want to hear more of, assuming you're not just a robot or a bully or someone who's just here because your bloodline obligates you to show support. I mean, like, you want me talking about role-playing games? You want me just rant about things I hate, like stepping in for the shoes of I hate everything? Do you want me talking about things I love to hate? Yeah, I love to hate all the political turmoil, and how that's what I meant when I said kings are jesters and jesters live like kings. You want to hear that sort of thing? I'll give you an example of that. Politics. Just politics. Doesn't matter which side of the aisle, which side of the spectrum, whether it's Trump or Biden, whether you're a filthy communist Marxist scumbag who shouldn't be in America, or if you're a capitalist pig that revels in working your minions to death and beyond. Yeah, you both suck, okay? Simple as that. You both suck. And that's something we love to hate. And we love to hate all the different ways these figureheads representing our culture screw up. Whether they trip on a staircase going up to an airplane, or whether they stumble in their words, or they want to play a drinking game. How many times they say, or Yeah, well, that's what I mean. We love to hate it. And that's what I mean, kings and jesters. These people are supposed to represent us. Each of us American people. And if you're not American, then you're not my target audience. Because I only speak English. So if it's not English, it does not count. Like the guy in Republican Space Rangers would say. Meaning, back on track, politics are all about we enjoy making fun of our politicians. In Congress, in the presidency, not a lot of flack for the court, though. The court's the most unsung of the three, believe it or not. And supposedly they have a big role in checks and balances. But I'm a fighter, not a lawyer, so that's not my arena. I know nothing about that. I have nothing to comment. As for the flip side, our jesters live like kings. Look at all the movie stars. Look at all your pop music singers, your boy bands. The guys that grab their crotches at the Super Bowl. All these idiots, these jokers. They're intentionally humiliating themselves for our sadistic amusement. Another thing we love to hate. And in exchange for that, these people, the celebrities, if you want to use the technically correct description for it, the technically correct word, celebrities. They live in massive mansions, big swimming pools, a whole staff of servants that have room and board to do all their house chores. They live like kings. And yet, their main job is to entertain us by making a fool out of themselves. By being on the front covers of tabloid magazines talking about all their marriage drama and however many amounts of alcohol and or narcotics they've consumed to wreck their own lives. All that for our sadistic entertainment, and in exchange, they have huge mansions with every luxury modern technology can provide. So they live like kings. Even by modern standards, jesters that live like kings. Oh, you want to hear more like that? Maybe you want to hear more RPG stories about how Jamie Forerunner got her start in the Star Wars universe. Or her backstory I wrote that goes before then, which goes even more literal into her life being a space westerner. How she was raised as a cowgirl until she had certain gifts that meant they were being wasted as a humble farmhand, and thus she was sent to college. Maybe we'll hear stories about that. Maybe you want to hear the one shot I did with my family that created Chad Golden Knight. Now, if you have no idea who in the world these characters are, you can look them up. It's Myth of the Epic Force. I'm sure there's a link floating around on one of my profiles if you dig deep enough. But if you're not going to get through this video, you're not going to dig enough to find whatever those links are. But trust me, they're out there if you know where to look. But they're out there. And you can find out who the hell is Chad? Who the hell is Jamie? Why is Holly so messed up? You know. It's this really cute thing I tried drawing back when I had work. Back when I had a 9-to-5 job before COVID made me completely unemployable. And that's the main point I've learned from all that work. From all the dating sites where I got sick of the Bible thumpers and dog humpers on all the dating sites. The main theme is, when all roads lead to no-win situations, do you either embrace despair or pursue an illusion of hope? You might notice how I stumble in my words every so often. That's what I'm talking about when I say the voice gets all the enthusiasm but all the awkwardness. It's all improv. I told you it's all off the cuff. No, it doesn't matter that I'm literally down in my underwear. That's not the point. And if any ladies are Jewing off right now, having heard that the Golden Knight is down to his underwear, have fun. I hope you enjoy. Go for it. As for the gay guys out there, sure, but I'm a straight white male, so only in your dreams. I am not having blood sex. You couldn't pay me for that. But then again, I know if it were legal, I'd probably be a prostitute just for the adventure. Quote me on it. I even made a cartoon about that, a cute little comic. About going to Vegas and having this adorable little girl that I would get into bed with because she would pay me to have sex. And she was adorable, like the rest of my drawing style. Sentient plush dolls going on adventures. But for the record, no. I have never actually been a prostitute. I'm just saying that if it were legal, I might consider it just for the adventure. Never mind the fact that I am unemployable and they probably wouldn't make me a prostitute even if I asked nicely. Laughing on the outside, crying on the inside, because that further proves what I mean when I say the unemployable that can't get work just to save their own lives. It can't get work at all. It's not The Sims, people. This isn't that kind of world where you can get a job by just asking nicely. Yeah, this isn't The Sims. This is reality. And reality loves for you and me to suffer. That's all there is to it. Reality loves you and me to suffer. God is a sadist. Especially if we are made in the image of God, and with how abundant the evidence is that we enjoy other people's suffering. That's why game shows like Fear Factor and Survivor exist. That's why tabloid magazines exist. That's why the ancient Colosseums existed. That's why public executions used to exist. All because we, as human nature, realize we love to see others suffer. And if we're made in the image of the Maker, that proves God is a sadist. God is a sadist. The difference of morality is how far you're going to go to mask that fact. How far you're going to go to deny it. Just like so many humans deny the earth is round, or deny that COVID is a threat, or deny that the earth is warming up, even though it's a pleasant 70-something right now where I'm at. And the summer here in Maryland has been comparatively mild. A lot of days in the 80s, not a lot in the 90s. And I would know because they would do the whole energy savings day if it were in the 90s. The worst day, the one day you need air conditioning the most is when the power company incentivizes you to not use air conditioning at all. And whoever thought that's a good idea, may you burn in hell. May you get castrated for eternity and have your boy parts or girl parts regrown just to get castrated again in perpetual, endless agony. May the Lord condemn your soul for thinking it was a good idea to incentivize not using air conditioning during the days that we need air conditioning the most. Next up. What else is there? Other than cartoons you're watching. Like Farzar on Netflix, Agretsuko if you want to make the U not silent. And Crossing Swords, my personal favorite. God, that show's cute. And lewd, just the way I like it. Nah, not for sensitive audiences. If you didn't hear that half an hour or so ago, why are you still here? Go cry into your anime pillow. I don't care. Why would I care? Besides, I don't want a 2D pillow of some anime character. I want a 3D adult-sized plush doll of a cartoon character. The difference is not in geography or culture, the difference is aesthetic. The 3D is more tactile, and the cartoon character, in my opinion, is much, much, much more durable than any anime out there. That's opinion. I don't really like anime, okay? I definitely don't like the aesthetic, the drawing style. And the cliche characters just pour salt into the wound. Of course, there's an exception to the rule. Bomberman Jetters. And Bomberman in general. I've got a soft spot for good old line eyes. And using bombs and blowing up people. He's adorable. Now, that said, I'm surprised they don't make a taboo story about Bomberman with the nuclear bomb. That was my idea. I want Bomberman with the nuclear bomb to blow up idiots. But that's only in my fanfiction. And in the parody of it I did with Scarlet, where Bomber jitters. And she and a couple of the special ed students got together, planned this game where they pretend about the jitters, defeating the hickey bandits that give people hickeys. And I'm gonna get lightheaded if I laugh about it too hard, but that's really the gist of it. It's this adorable parody of this franchise, featuring Scarlet just being Scarlet. And she's cute. Then again, do you know what a filibuster is? Supposedly, it's kind of like what I'm doing right now, where you're talking nonstop about all kinds of crap because you're trying to bore the Congress to death. You keep the bill in so long of a limbo that everyone else is like, please, let's just move on, forget about it. Just stop rambling, you stupid old man. Huh? How did I get here? Why am I talking about bread again? Whose stock are these? Yeah, that's a filibuster. You learn something new every day. Did you know that? Now you know. The one reference that people don't use from Bill Nye the Science Guy. Bill. Yeah, wait, that also reminds me. Neil deGrasse Tyson's on YouTube talking about the stars in space and how razzle-dazzle and all this, the galaxies, and how each one is billions of years old, unfathomably old. And if that weren't a half-assed Neil deGrasse Tyson impression, you can leave your hate comments below. I don't care. Excuse me, I was getting a bit dizzy. Told you I get lightheaded. I've been talking for 80 minutes. And it's part of what I mean when I'm on sick leave. Like a nerd. So, no hacking today, just rambling. Move along, move along. Oh, and that also reminds me, in the lore of Short Bus that you don't get to see, the Colonel does have the power to force choke, but it's all psychosomatic. He's like, it only works against weak-minded fools who are susceptible to the power of suggestion. But because this is Short Bus we're talking about, where it's all about special ed students making fun of how stupid all of humanity has become from the trajectory we are going on now, then that means weak-minded fools are very, very mainstream in that world. And because of that, it creates the illusion that he has the power of force choke. Did I rant enough yet? Can I go now? I've been doing this just because I have nothing better to do and because I need to find a way to do all this with my time. Look, I got 400 or so more minutes just till the next level up. Got 6 or 7 hours. God won't help me. And there are thousands of others who've done all this grind. And I don't know how they do it AFK. I really don't. If you know, can you tell me? Because I don't want to waste any more brain cells on this god-awful grind. So one thing I don't like about this game. But I've got nothing better to do, so it's still better than school. So what have you been up to? Are you this sad? Yeah, I think I'm gonna call it here. Semper bellum, you goofs.